So we are living, as it were, on many, many levels of rhythm. This is the nature of change. If you resist it, you have dukkha, you have frustration and suffering. But on the other hand, if you understand change, you don't cling to it, and you let it flow, then it's no problem. It becomes positively beautiful, which is why in poetry, the theme of the evanescence of the world is beautiful. See, it's always the image of change that really makes the poem.
Welcome back, everyone. This week you join me on something very different. I have the Zero SRS, Sierra Romeo Sierra. Very interesting bit of kit. Full electric, and in the sort of Zero stable, this is as fast as it gets. This is the biggest, most expensive, most capable bike they do. Okay, so weight, we're talking 230 kilos. The weight is carried, quite interestingly, you've got the motor and the battery pack relatively low. So for example, there's no weight above my knee, on this one anyway. So all the weight is below your knees. Interesting. I mean, the bike handles so well. So talking of weight, 230 kilos is, as it is, you can buy an optional additional sort of range battery that goes on the top here, and that adds, I don't know how much it adds. I think it might add another 20 or so kilos. But yeah, as it is, this hasn't got that range extender battery. So consequently, it weighs 230 kilos. In terms of power, now, you'll have to forgive me, I'm not 100% sure of the horsepower. I think it's about 125. But to a large extent, you can ignore the horsepower figure on electric bikes because it's all about the torque. This thing has 190 Newton meters of torque. It's absolutely outrageous. I'm not even joking. I suppose, to put it in perspective, a 2020 R6, not a comparable bike, but a 2020 R6, I know that just because I was looking at it recently, has 61 Newton meters of torque. So it's massively different. As well as that, the torque, you know, on your conventional bike, or our conventional bikes, when you open the throttle like now, on a conventional bike, you're waiting for revs to build, or maybe bang it down a gear or do whatever. With electric bikes, the power is pretty much linear, so from whatever speed you're doing, there's only one gear, so you don't need to worry about being in the wrong gear. You open the throttle and you have all of that torque available until you stop accelerating. It's quite shocking, honestly, with something that's got this much power anyway. Now let's get kind of range and stuff out of the way right now. It's really hard to answer this question, what will it do, because it does depend quite largely on how you ride it. So let me give you a bit of background. You have various rider modes, and they impact quite heavily on the range available, and also your riding style impacts quite heavily on the range available. So I am now in eco mode, which is sort of restricted power, restricted speed. It's the sort of mode you would be in if you're just commuting, or you know, when I ride, I tend to flick from mode to mode depending where I am. As an example, I was on a fast A road yesterday in sport mode, during some traffic, speed slowed down, so I flicked it into eco mode. The reason for that is the bike behaves differently. So obviously restricted speed and power means you use less energy, but in addition to that, you have more regenerative braking in eco mode than you have in street or any of the other modes. So yeah, there's no point being in sport mode when you're pottering along. It will still do 85 mile an hour, apparently. So eco mode is the kindest in terms of energy consumption. Then you have, let me just flick on the mode button. You hold the mode button, it starts flashing, and then you just scroll through them. Next mode up is street mode. That's a kind of an all-rounder. Street mode is more power, less regenerative braking, more fun, arguably. It is cool. It's a bit of an all-rounder. Plenty of power, but at the same time, you're not using all of the energy. Next one up is sport mode, which is full fat. That's everything. That's almost no regenerative braking that I can feel anyway, but full maximum power, and it is absolutely lightning in that. But if you ride it accordingly, you use the battery up really fast. And then you also have a range setting, which is kinder and more electronics. And there's a custom mode, which you can do whatever you want in. So arguably you could say you want more power, but you also want more regenerative braking, that type of thing. So pretty adjustable. And then, like I said, your riding style and whatever mode you choose impacts massively on battery performance. So that's why it's such a hard question to answer. But in my experience, I like to ride quite quickly and I like to have a lot of fun. I'm a biker at heart. If I just stick it in sport mode, probably 70 miles. If you kept it in eco and you did more city riding, maybe 100 plus. I honestly don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could get over 100 miles out of it in eco. Again, because it's electric, it works differently to our ICE engines, ICE, internal combustion engines. On our bikes, on our petrol bikes, if you ride, on a motorway on very gentle throttle at steady speeds, you get better fuel economy. If you ride through town on and off the throttle, you get worse fuel economy. On an electric bike, it's the opposite way around. If you're sustained speeds, sustained throttle, you're drawing a lot of energy from the battery, so you run it out quickly. If you're stop-starting in town or on back roads when you're not sustained speeds, you get more miles. Hence why they make such good commuters. Now it feels awesome. It really does feel like a premium bike, really well screwed together, very well thought out. And it's got some cool little features. The mirrors, I don't know if you can see those, they're mounted on the fairing below the handlebars, below the bars. It's quite weird, but actually works really well. It's out the way of everything, so you're looking underneath your hands. Yeah, interesting. In terms of riding the bike, you'd struggle to find anything easier to ride. There's no gears, it's a single speed. There's no clutch. You have brake on the right hand side and foot brake, and that's it, and a throttle, and that's it. So if you want to go faster, you twist it. If you don't, you don't. Simple as that. Literally twist and go. You know, your gut feeling as a biker, I suppose, is flick it in sport mode and just smash it and have a wicked time and enjoy that crazy torque curve and stuff. But you quickly realise that if you do that, you're going nowhere. Or at least it's not desperately practical. So how long does it take to charge? Well, on a 3-pin socket at home, for example, it takes, well, okay, you can work it out for yourself. It's a 14.4 kilowatt per hour battery. I think of that as a fuel tank. You could almost say litres instead of kilowatt per hour. 14.4 kilowatts per hour, and it charges on a 3-pin socket at about 2.4 kilowatts per hour. So you can work it out. I charged it from 20% to full overnight, and when I plugged it in, it said 4.3 hours or something like that, which is great because, you know, cheap energy at night, no problem whatsoever. This one's got the Type 2 charger, like I mentioned. Is this guy just going to come across? Yeah, this has got the Type 2 charger, so I can pull into McDonald's or anywhere that's got those roadside chargers, as long as they're Type 2, and I can plug this in and it will charge accordingly. When you charge this, when you plug this into a Type 2 charger, the maximum rate that this battery will charge is 6.6 kilowatts per hour. So remember, the battery's 14.4, maximum flow of electricity you can get into the battery on this is 6.6 kilowatts. So essentially talking 2 hours to charge it from empty to full. That's not bad. Okay, so let's just flick back to that range thing. Like I say, I've been tooling around in eco mode for a while. Done 31 miles in eco mode, and it's showing me 81 mile range still to go. So that's 112 miles. That ain't bad. That's really not bad at all. And I've not struggled. I mean, it's really warm. It's lovely to ride about. It isn't slow. It's faster than all of this stuff here. Now then, but what if you did want to have a bit of fun? Okay, so let me show you. Let's just change modes. Let's put it in sport for a minute. Put it in sport mode is really easy, or any mode. You just press and hold the mode button. Display flashes. You scroll through the modes, click on it, and then just shut the throttle briefly, and it changes the mode. Now we're in sport mode, and everything changes. Now it is just entirely focused on performance. I'll probably see quite a noticeable change in range. It's at 81 miles at the moment, but even just a short blast in sport mode is definitely going to change that. I'll tell you what, in sport mode this thing is savage. So now in sport mode we have access to 190 Newton meters of torque, and it is quite dramatic, I can tell you. Oh, right over on its side, look. Look. Honestly, the way this thing fires out of corners is just breathtaking. Look at it, lean. God, it's fast.